Hello. Have you ever had one of those experiences where you've heard a similar message over and over again and you get it, like you understand what's being said, but you hear it another time in a slightly different way and something inside you just clicks. Like the meaning behind it goes deeper. It just sinks in. Well, I had this experience the other day, and I was listening to a reader. She's not a reader, she's an intuitive, I think. Channeler. I'm not sure. I don't know what she's called herself. Other than salt. But they were talking about sorry, I'm looking at the neighbor's puppy and it's got this glowing blue collar on and it's really cute. It's like it's got its own Christmas lights, right? It's morning here, so it's still a little dark outside. Sorry, distracted. So this person, Salt, they were talking about a group of people who have this strong polarity within them that is perhaps known or unknown, and how this group of people in some ways can feel the need to maybe do super meaningful things with their life or have their life be significant in some way. And I've been going through and getting rid of like old journals and letters and stuff, and I've seen myself write it more than once when I was much younger, that, you know, my desire was to somehow save the world in some way. And that's a lot of freaking responsibility, especially for, you know, an 8th grader to put that, you know, responsibility or find a career or some kind of chosen path that in some capacity makes them feel complete because they're changing the world in some significant way. So in some sense, there's always been that need or that feeling in the back of my psyche, I guess. And Salt talked about really letting this go, of letting go of the need to feel like anything you do has to be grandiose or serve a bigger purpose than your mere existence. And it was really like the very last maybe 3 or 4 minutes of the video, and I just felt this weight lift off of me. And afterwards I did a shamanic journey, and I asked to go to a Celtic region, which came up in a reading and is something that naturally came up within me, like wanting to hear a Scottish accent or something. And so I did a shamanic journey, and on that journey it was almost like a past life or parallel life regression, and I was at a funeral in centuries past, maybe, a couple of centuries ago, as we'll just say a Scottish soldier, and I was being buried. And I was being, the country people, because I had been a great fighter and warrior, was wanting me to be buried in this heavy armor. And I was a man, and my wife and 2 kids who knew me, knew the depth of my heart, and that even though I'd had sort of a bit of a gruff exterior, or had come off as kind of a tough guy, everything I did was from the purest heart and wanting to help people. And even though I could be a little bit harsher about something, I was really helping people to see themselves, and changed the village and places that I went that helped people see the real part of them. I don't know that I explained that very well, but anyway, the wife and kids did not want me to be buried with my armor, because they knew that I was truly, you could say, a big softie. I did not need the armor, and they wanted the truth of me as this very tender-hearted man to be displayed for my burial. And again, at the end of that, I just felt truly seen by the people that loved me and knew me, and felt the weight of that armor that I had to carry, in life, melt away. And I felt it in this life, the need to carry that armor melt away. And I'm starting to get emotional. Because it's hitting me again, and just the literal internal energy and feeling of that swirling around and feeling it's just dissolving. Okay. I'm going to now skip back in time a little bit, because I think this is also relevant. That's my neighbor who yells at her dogs to poop 3 times a day or go to the bathroom. Anyway, so now I'm going to backtrack a little bit in my life, which is still related to this video, because someone in the comments posted that when they had their awakening, they had seen themselves up on stage in the bright lights in front of a huge crowd of people. And in 2021, which I consider I feel like my awakening started in 2020 for sure, where I was making definite changes. But I did several EMDR sessions at the beginning of 2021, and I learned how to do them for myself. And I feel like that was the gateway to releasing a crap load of energy and tension and trauma that had been stored in my body and my psyche. And one of these EMDR sessions that I did for myself was to the music of Pink Floyd, which I'll talk about in another time why that's significant. But in one of the songs, I saw myself being released from a relationship, and this person, this ex-boyfriend, released me, and I went up on stage, and I was in the spotlight, and I looked completely casual. I was barefoot in rolled up blue jeans and a white v-neck t-shirt, and I was just there standing on stage, and I felt like I was coming into myself. Like I had to be released to figure out who I was, released from within that relationship and a lot of other relationships in my life that I had with other people and other things. And I'm sure that most of you have had similar experiences. But when I read the comment on this post, I realized how much me being in the spotlight was not necessarily about me literally being on stage in front of other people, but it was me being on stage so that I could fully see myself and all aspects of myself and accept those aspects. And it's almost like welcoming myself home to me just by simply existing. And I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard this message, like, you are enough, you don't need anything. And that message, you are enough, literally those 3 words, has come through multiple times, also around the timing of this video. And the physical sensation of releasing the energy of needing to be something spectacular or needing to be special, which I always felt like I needed to be special because I couldn't be seen, but I could be special. I could be smart, could be talented, I could do all the things and still not be seen in order to exist in this world. And something just helped me let all of that, just let it go. And for some reason, like, even while I was listening to that video, now, like, it keeps coming through my head, like, simply being something like a cobbler, you know, someone who repairs shoes, which, one, I think is an amazing profession because I love shoes and I hate the cheap disposable shoes that we are now inundated with that cannot be repaired. And I love the idea of keeping something that is comfortable and that you appreciate and that lasts for a long time. Like, I love that idea. And also that movie with Adam Sandler, The Cobbler, popped up in my Netflix or Amazon or whatever the other day, and I was like, well, maybe there's also a message in there for me to see. But I'm also a person who just loves shoes and has historically owned way too many. But it's like knowing within yourself, I want to be a cobbler or whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just you putting your passion into that existence, and just not needing to have that aspect of feeling like you're special. Like, you are unique already. You are in some way already special within your existence, but not having to put the pressure of doing something special or being something special. Because if you are that cobbler and you enjoy your work, the ripples that creates in other people's lives will just automatically find their way out and change the world anyway, because you're living within your sort of, I'm going to say, most aligned vibration with your highest self. Which, by the way, I feel that I prefer that term much more than the idea of ascension, because ascension to me like still puts you above everyone else, and I feel like being in oneness like puts us on level ground with everyone else and still allows for our complete uniqueness and brings us into the mode of cooperation instead of competition. So I don't know who else may need to be offered that permission again, because I feel like I was offered that permission and accepted it to just humbly be whatever I want to be and enjoy it and live it and not worry about, am I doing the right thing? Because when you're in the moment doing what you love, like that is the right thing. I really feel that is the right thing. So I think I want to end it there. There may be something else I add that I forgot, but if I do that, I will often put it in the description box, so it's good to check there. And I usually keep it brief, so thank you for being here, friends, and to myself for again showing up for me and just putting this out there because I feel like I want to, not because I need to, because I'm changing anything for anybody, but it feels good to just talk about it, I guess. Finally. All right. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye.